academic rank of Distinguished Professor Emeritus. A frequent speaker at world conferences, Professor William has a special interest in the protection of free expression and constitutional good governance under the rule of law. His writing is published in a number of articles, books, and other publications, including a national bestseller. As lead amicus counsel on a variety of matters before the U.S. Supreme Court, he authored briefs on behalf of various organizations. He also authored written testimony, evidence, and briefs in such forums as the Swedish Supreme Court, the U.S. Congress, and the UK Parliament. He has further addressed many executive, legislative, parliamentary, and judicial audiences throughout the world and presented at various diplomatic forums, including the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva. Please welcome to the stage Professor William Wagner.
Wow, now we are live from the Capitol. Isn't that an incredible blessing, streaming all over the world? Well, God bless all of you guys for coming. I've got a question for you parents out there, especially you mothers. When you had that beautiful baby child, and it was just minutes old, and that baby was put on your breast and laid on your chest, in that moment, God told you who was responsible for the direction and the control of the upbringing of that child. And I'm guessing that the first person that came to your mind was not some government official or some UN bureaucrat telling you that they knew better on how to tell you what to do with regard to what was in the best interest of your child. Certainly that is the case with regard to the educational decisions you make with your child, and certainly it is the case and must be the case with the medical decisions that you make with your child. In no case should a mother, for example, in consultation with their doctor and their father, get together and conclude that, wow, it is not healthy and safe for my child to be taking these vaccines, either as a matter of conscience or as a matter of public policy or as a matter of science and medical health, and then have some government bureaucrat come in and tell you, no, we're from the government, we're here to help, we know better than you. Now, the interesting thing about all this is that our government actually got this right at one time. In the early parts of our country, the very first constitutional right recognized by the United States Supreme Court was this fundamental right of parents to control and direct the choices and the upbringing of their child. And so when the government used its power in ways that would substantially interfere with a parent's ability to make decisions with regard to the upbringing of the child, that exercise of power was struck down over and over and over again by the United States Supreme Court. We were the standard for the world. Now, not so much. That fundamental right to conscience under the First Amendment right to conscience, and that fundamental right under the Due Process Clause to control and direct the upbringing of your children, that has never been more at risk in this nation than it is at this very moment as we sit here. Judges who put on robes, and I wore the robe so I can say this, judges who put on robes and have ink in their pen, who think that they know better, who think that they have a political agenda, that they have the power because they have ink in their pen to further, have decided that, you know, we know better than parents too. And so the time has come for us to say no more. There are two other branches of government, and they work for us. And those branches of government have power to check an out-of-control judiciary in this area, and they need to do so, but they will not do so unless they hear from us first. The other attack on your right as parents to direct the upbringing of your child with regard to medical decisions is coming internationally from the UN. There's a UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, which has some good things in, but it also has within its framework a system that a government bureaucrat will be put in the place of a parent for making these critical decisions. And that is happening all over the world, as you will hear probably from some other speakers later today. And so my question for us is here, not just right in front of the Capitol, the People's House. Those folks work for us over there. Those folks have the power to check the judiciary, you know, down the street. Not just here in Washington, but in North Carolina, in California, in Texas, in Michigan, wherever you are, will you stand up? Will you stand up for truth? Will you stand up for your children? Will you remember that you stand on the shoulders of giants who came before you that gave you that right? And remember that you are speaking for those that come after you. It is our time in history. It is our time now to say no more. God gave government some things to do. Keep us, you know, safe from all enemies, foreign and domestic. What he didn't do is say, government bureaucrat, you're in charge of raising the children of this nation. And any time in world history where government has taken over that role, very dark things have happened and nations go to a very dark place. Let's stop it now, let's nip it in the bud, and let's preserve these constitutional freedoms, and more important, let's preserve the health of our children and our nation for many years to come. And so I'm Professor William Wagner. God bless all of you, and thank you so much for listening, and let's get going. Let's get going and do some good. God bless you. Have a great day. Great fight.